Okay, let's dive into this. Imagine this scenario. Maybe you recognize it. You're, say, in your 50s, maybe older. And from the outside, life looks, well, it looks pretty good, right? You've maybe had career success, family's okay, perhaps you're financially stable, all the pieces seem to be there. But inside, there's this pressure, stress,
Yeah.
maybe even questioning, like, what's it all for? Is this it? We saw that story referenced, didn't we, about the woman calling the psychiatrist?
Yeah, the live stream example. She basically said, my life is good. Why don't I feel good? Such a common puzzle.
Exactly, that feeling, that gap between, the external picture and the internal reality.
And it really does seem to hit hard for people in midlife and beyond. When maybe those big external goals, they start to shift or even fade away.
So the big question is, if everything seems fine on the surface, where does all this inner turmoil come from?
Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're looking at insights from teaching monk Surapong. He's a meditation-focused monk in Thailand, nearly 40 years experience.
Right, and he has a specific take on this feeling, and more importantly, maybe some ideas on what to do about it.
hmm So our mission today is to kind of unpack his view on why this happens. He links it to something called the three natures, and then get into his guidance for, well, feeling better and finding that sense of purpose again.
Okay, so where does he start? Why do we feel this way? Is it normal?
Yeah, fascinatingly, teaching monk Surapong says this inner pressure, it's totally natural. It's just part of how life works, basically.
Mm.
He explains it through this idea of the three natures, good, bad, and stagnant. He says they exist in like every part of our lives,
And they're competing.
constantly competing, yeah. So even if you got the external stuff, sort of what he might call the fruits of pure energy, like a
Okay.
job, family, security, the bad nature still has to do its thing. Its function is to create that inner pressure. It attracts what he calls dark energy states.
Like boredom, stress.
Boredom, stress, despair, confusion, yeah. That kind of stuff. It doesn't mean you can't be happy, but that internal friction, it's always there to some degree.
So that's why he says, the wealthy have the suffering of the wealthy, the poor have the suffering of the poor. It's universal, but looks different.
Exactly. Everyone has suffering tied to their own situation, their own internal state. It comes from that constant push and pull inside between these natures. The bad nature just brings in irritation, chaos. It makes it all feel very personal.
Okay, and you mentioned this hits particularly hard around 50 plus. Why then?
Well, the source suggests that for a lot of people, life up to that point was really driven by uh, external goal systems, very clear targets.
Right, like getting good grades, climbing the career ladder, raising kids.
Yeah,
There was always the next thing.
precisely. And then maybe you retire or the kids leave home. That intense external pressure kind of eases off, and suddenly that internal driving system, it loses its familiar map, its direction.
Ah, so without those clear outside targets, the competition inside between the natures just gets louder, more confusing.
That seems to be the idea. It can lead to that feeling of emptiness, confusion, like what now? What am I supposed to be doing?
Okay, so if external goals aren't the whole answer long term and this inner conflict is just natural,
Yeah.
what does teaching monk Surapong suggest? How do we find purpose or feel better?
He says we do need goals,
Yeah.
definitely. But the meaningful ones, the ones that really help, they come from living inside what he calls good systems.
Good systems. That's not just religion, right?
No, not limited to religion at all. It's more about establishing yourself in virtues, things that elevate your mind and heart, like thinking correctly, speaking kindly and appropriately, not just sometimes, but, to everyone, acting beautifully towards family, friends, even strangers.
Okay, so cultivating that internal goodness. But there was something else he really emphasized, a specific action.
Yes, and this is, I think, really the core of his practical advice. He stresses not just seeking out good things for yourself, but fundamentally becoming the person who gives good fortune to others.
Wait, gives good fortune. That sounds a bit backward, doesn't it? Aren't most people trying to get good fortune?
Well, yeah, that's the usual focus. But teaching monk Serpong flips it. He argues that focusing on receiving keeps you dependent on outside factors. But if you become the source of good fortune through, kind words, helping people out genuinely, sharing what you can, putting good intentions out there through speech and action,
How does that help with feeling lost or stressed?
because, he says, it fundamentally shifts your internal energy. Instead of focusing inward on what you lack or need, you're actively directing positive energy outward. It breaks that cycle where the bad nature thrives, especially when those external goals disappear and you might turn inward with worry or boredom.
So it's not just about being nice, it's like a a strategy for your own well-being.
Exactly. He puts it very practically. He says this giving, it's not actually loss. It attracts new, pure energy or boon continuously. That brings good results down the line, sure. But the key thing, for that immediate feeling of unease, it brings peace of mind right now.
Ah, I see.
By not being stingy, he says, by being ready to give, basically. Making it so that anyone who meets you feels kind of lucky they did you start living in a state of constant goodness. It elevates your mind, your heart. It makes this life feel good now.
Okay, let's wrap this up then. So, for you listening, what Teaching Monk Surapong seems to be saying is that inner pressure, especially maybe later in life, it's a normal internal thing, the three natures competing. It just gets amplified when the old external goals fade.
Mm-hmm. And the path to feeling better, finding purpose again, isn't necessarily about chasing some brand new achievement. It's more about cultivating goodness inside yourself and really powerfully shifting your focus.
Shifting from seeking good fortune to actively being a source of good fortune for the people around you.
Right. So maybe think about that.
Yeah.
How might shifting your perspective from how can I get lucky
Yeah.
to how can I make someone else feel lucky today? How might that change your own internal state, your sense of purpose?
And here's a thought to leave you with, directly from Teaching Monk Surapong's perspective. Becoming the one who gives good fortune. It isn't just about benefiting others. It actively creates a life of constant goodness and immediate peace for you, the giver. It makes you fortunate right here, right now.